What if I told you that your brain chemistry actually changes when you're around certain people? I'm not talking about a figure of speech here. I mean your actual brain chemistry shifts at a biological level. This isn't just about bad vibes or feeling annoyed. It's about measurable changes in your body that directly impact how well your brain works. Think about the last time you spent an hour with someone super negative. Remember that foggy feeling afterward? That mental fatigue wasn't in your imagination. Your brain was functioning differently because of that interaction. Here's what's happening. When you interact with an energy vampire, your body activates its stress response system. This is the same system that evolved to help us deal with physical threats, like running from predators. The problem is, your body can't tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and a toxic coworker who constantly complains. Both trigger the same biological cascade. During these negative interactions, your adrenal glands release stress hormones, mainly cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones help when you need to escape danger, but they're terrible for productive work. Your cortisol levels can spike within minutes of a negative interaction and stay elevated for hours afterward. What's fascinating is how differently our bodies respond to positive versus negative social encounters. When you're with someone supportive, your brain produces oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Oxytocin reduces stress and improves cognitive function. You think better around positive people. Your brain also releases dopamine, which helps with motivation and focus. But with negative people, those elevated cortisol levels directly interfere with the parts of your brain you need for productive work. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for complex thinking, problem-solving, and decision-making, basically goes offline when cortisol levels stay high. It's like having your computer's processing power suddenly diverted to run an outdated security system, leaving little capacity for your actual work. This explains why you make worse decisions after dealing with difficult people. A University of California study examined decision quality after stressful social interactions. They found participants made 20 to 30% more errors on cognitive tests after negative encounters compared to positive ones. Think about that meeting with your critical colleague last week. The mistakes you made afterward weren't coincidental. Memory takes a hit too. Researchers at Stanford found that chronic exposure to stress hormones can damage the hippocampus, the brain region crucial for forming new memories. Ever notice how you forget important details after a draining interaction? That's your hippocampus struggling under stress. But the impact goes beyond your own brain chemistry. Have you heard of emotional contagion? This scientific term describes how we catch other people's emotions, almost like a cold. Multiple studies show that humans automatically mimic the emotional expressions, posture, and vocal patterns of people we're interacting with. This happens completely unconsciously. A study published in the journal Nature demonstrated how negative emotions spread through social networks. Researchers found that spending time with someone in a negative emotional state increases your chance of becoming negative by 55%. That's why one complainer can bring down an entire office. Emotions are literally contagious. These effects happen because of specialized brain cells called mirror neurons. These neurons fire both when we perform an action and when we watch someone else perform that action. They also activate in response to emotions. When you see someone angry or stressed, your mirror neurons fire as if you were experiencing that emotion yourself. Your brain mirrors their emotional state. It's like having an emotional Wi-Fi connection that you can't turn off. Neuroimaging studies using fMRI scans show fascinating patterns. When subjects viewed images of people expressing negative emotions, their own brain activity changed to match. The amygdala, your brain's threat detection center, becomes more active, while activity in the prefrontal cortex decreases. Your body sends clear signals when you're dealing with an energy vampire. Physical symptoms include tension in your shoulders and neck, shallow breathing, and a feeling of heaviness in your chest. Mental symptoms are just as telling. You might notice your thoughts becoming scattered or negative. You might find yourself agreeing with things you don't actually believe, just to end the conversation. Or you might experience cognitive depletion, that feeling where your brain just doesn't want to think anymore. The most reliable indicator is how you feel after the interaction ends. Do you feel relieved they're gone? Do you need to recover? These are signs that you've encountered an energy vampire. Research from workplace psychology shows that after interactions with highly negative people, it takes an average of 3 to 4 hours for cortisol levels to return to baseline. That's half your workday lost because of one bad interaction. The most surprising part is that much of this happens beneath your awareness. You don't need to consciously dislike someone to be affected by them. Even people you care about can trigger these responses if their behavior patterns are consistently negative. This biological understanding gives us an important insight. Protecting yourself from energy vampires isn't selfish. It's recognizing a genuine threat to your cognitive function and productivity. Just as you wouldn't feel guilty about moving away from secondhand smoke, you shouldn't feel guilty about protecting your mental environment. Once you understand these mechanisms, you can intervene by recognizing early physical signs of stress responses, developing techniques to buffer the neurological impact, and making conscious choices about who you spend time with. But what are the specific types of people causing this reaction? Not all difficult people affect us the same way, and understanding the different types of energy vampires can help you develop targeted strategies for dealing with each one.